Hi everybody, it's Gordon again here from Liverpool on the new Secrets of English YouTube channel, the latest video, which is focusing today on AQA GCSE English Language, Paper 1, Question 2. This is a shortish question. It carries 8 marks, which is of course double the amount of marks you had available on Paper 1. So it's important to try to score as many as you possibly can. Some students perhaps find they're a little put off here by the fact that they're having to write about language for the first time in the examination. Well, if it was something as vague as language, perhaps in the abstract, that they were being asked to write about, then yes, it would be quite a tall order. But in fact, the question always asks you really something quite precise, quite specific when it comes to the language that you're being asked to describe. It might say, for example, as it did in 2018, how does the writer use language here to convey Mr. Fisher's views on books and stories from the past? Or November 2017, it will say, how does the writer use language here to describe the mountain area? And finally, June 2017, the question said, how does the writer use language here to describe Roswell's bus journey home? So it's being quite specific about what aspect of the language it's asking you to write about. Nevertheless, you've got to show that you can recognise in the first place and select what for you are the key words and features in the language as used in the short extract, which is really no more than 12 lines from the overall extract that you're given for Section A of Paper 1. And this, I think, is the bit for students that can feel, a little bit daunting. Because after all, in question 1, all you had to do was simple information retrieval. Take a few words and phrases straight from the text, and that was pretty well it. Well, here, this is more tricky because you've got to start using your judgment. You've got to really commit to certain language choices, and that can feel a little bit daunting, as I say. But be ready to do this, and then be ready, of course, to explain how the language that you've selected has actually been used for the particular purpose as specified in the question. So here's my first tip to practice perhaps. Maybe get yourself an audio book and listen to a section of it in the dark, a piece of fiction. You find that you happily allow yourself to be immersed in the world of the book. You really start to hear the words and hear the language working on you. You can hear, for example, perhaps the words in a story about a fairground that capture the excitement of it all, or maybe it's a mystery story and you're hearing the words and the language features that adds the sense of tension and rising levels of anxiety in the story. And suddenly you find you're in Paper 1, Question 2 territory. The only difference, of course, in the real exam is that you're required to recognise words, phrases and language features from an actual reading, that you're doing the reading from an exam paper of around a dozen lines. So you're going to need also, having selected those words, phrases or language features, to explain how the language you've chosen has been used. So it will really be useful here to think about the sort of effects your chosen words and language features have on, you as the reader, or, readers more generally. What do these words and language features make us think? What do they make us feel? And as a first route into this process, be on the lookout for interesting and or powerful verbs, adjectives and adverbs. These should stand out for you. Trust your instinct a little bit. It can really be quite a good guide. Which are the words that really stand out from the rest for you? And ideally you want to be looking for about choosing maybe 5 or 6 examples and explaining their effect carefully, and be prepared to go into a little bit of detail here. Remember, there are 8 marks for this question, so you do need to go into a little bit of detail. You've given 3 bullet points in total for this question. Final piece of advice, the third bullet point, which is about looking at the effect of sentence forms, is probably something you can safely opt out of at this stage. Really focus on those first 2 bullet points. Okay, I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.